Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you all. We're going to get started here. We have a lot of great information to cover. So first off, my name is Manny Blasco. I am the Manager of Outreach and Community Development here at Young Arts, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Nidra Ward, who's the Associate Director of the National Competition. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you and thank you for joining us for this info session for the 2027 Young Arts National Arts Competition, which is geared specifically towards parents, guardians, and educators. So educators and parents and guardians play a major role when it comes to encouraging young artists to pursue a life in the arts, supporting their dreams and guiding them along the way. And so this evening, our goal is to provide you all with the key information about the competition and give you a better grasp on the resources that are available to you and your students that are taking this creative journey. In this info session, we are going to be going over what Young Arts is, our mission, vision, and values, the process for becoming a Young Arts Award winner, which is, again, through our National Arts Competition. We'll go over the competition itself and also National Young Arts Week. And also, we'll go over eligibility, how to apply, something called the Student List Service, a little bit about the process for adjudications. We'll go over winner levels and awards, and of course, the benefits of becoming a Young Arts winner and the opportunities that Young Arts offers for life. So let's jump in with our mission and vision. So our mission, Young Arts identifies exceptional young artists. Young Arts amplifies their potential and invests in their lifelong creative freedom. We believe in a world that embraces artists as vital to our humanity. So some of our core values include excellence, collaboration, inclusivity, experimentation, respect, and integrity. These concepts underpin our efforts to provide artists with space, funding, mentorship, professional development, and community. And we strive to incorporate and communicate them throughout all of our programs. So, what is Young Arts? Young Arts is the only national organization that champions artists throughout their lifetimes and across all art forms, fueling the ongoing vitality of the arts nationwide. Now, the entry point into the young arts community and everything that it has to offer is the National Arts Competition. Artists aged 15 through 18 or in grades 10 through 12 are encouraged to apply to the national competition in the discipline of their choice. All applications are judged by an esteemed panel of artists, and award winners are offered a lifetime of artistic support and ongoing connection with an extraordinarily robust network of peers and mentors. So, a little bit about eligibility. To be eligible to apply to the annual Young Arts Competition, prospective applicants must meet these following requirements. They either be a citizen of the United States, a permanent resident, or legally able to receive taxable income in the US. An example of this is having a social security number. They must be in, again, grades 10 through 12 or ages 15 through 18 on December 1st of the year that they are applying. And if selected as a winner with distinction, this would be the first time that you'd be attending National Young Arts Week. So on our website, which in a little bit, I'll do a separate screen share and walk through some pieces of our website. On there, you'll see a brief questionnaire on the apply page, which is something that can help young artists very quickly determine whether they're eligible or not. It's just a few quick questions and it'll sort of spit out an answer. A question that we often get is the competition itself in person? And the answer to that is no. Eligible artists apply to the Young Arts Competition through an online application that requires video recordings, audio recordings, documents, or images in a portfolio. And then another question that we often get is, can a group, ensemble, or like a collaborative team apply to the competition? And again, the answer is no here. This is a solo competition, meaning that applications are evaluated and awarded on an individual basis. So while submitted work may include collaborative or ensemble elements, depending on the discipline, each application must represent the individual applicant's artistic contribution and will be evaluated only on that applicant's work. So I'm going to give two examples of this. The first one is, let's say you are a student who is applying to classical music in the instrumental or percussion category. So while you may play with a live accompaniment, only your solo performance will be evaluated. And similarly with something like jazz instrumental, you'll be recording, in a combo format with either a live or pre-recorded band, but only again, your solo performance is being evaluated. A different type of example is, let's say you are a student applying to film. Of course, film by nature, you'll likely be working with a multi-person crew to help you create the work, but you're submitting the film on a solo basis as you being the primary director or animator. You may also submit a second optional film where you are either the director slash animator or cinematographer. So I've talked a little bit about disciplines, but let's actually take a look at all of them here. So Young Arts welcomes submissions in the following 10 disciplines. There's classical music, dance, design, film, jazz, photography, theater, visual arts, voice, and writing. Many of these disciplines have categories specific to the art form, so be sure to visit our website to learn more about what we accept. Another frequently asked question that we often get is, can students apply in more than one discipline or category? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. Students may apply in as many disciplines and categories as they would like. However, and this is an important distinction, you cannot enter the same portfolio or audition to multiple disciplines or categories. Please note that there is also an application fee for each application that a student submits. If they qualify for a fee waiver, the letter must be uploaded into each application in order for their fees to be waived. And I'll talk a little bit about application fees and waivers in a bit. So there are many benefits to being a Young Arts Awards winner, which include things like cash awards. You get mentorship by accomplished artists. There's a lifetime of creative and professional support, a peer network of distinguished artists, and national recognition. And of course, there are also in-person programs like National Young Arts Week, which I will dive into in a little bit as well. One thing that I really want to hone in on here, and again, that really separates young arts from many other types of organizations out there, is this idea of lifelong support. So in addition to the programming, resources, and opportunities available during an artist's winter year, Young Arts is proud to offer lifelong support to our artist community, which includes a couple things, including creative development and performance opportunities. So within this, like Young Arts has partnerships with institutions like Baxter Street Gallery and Joe's Pub in New York City. There's the Betsy Writers Room in Fountainhead Arts in Miami. There's CAP UCLA's Nimoy Theater in Los Angeles, Anthropology, and we're also just actively expanding our reach around the country to better serve our artists where they are. Another opportunity here are grants and awards. Each year, we award artists with large-scale grants, including our $50,000 Lynn Arison Excellence in Writing Award. We also have a $25,000 Perez Award and the Ashley Longshore Excellence in the Arts Award as well. Also, every month, we allocate $25,000 for our micro grant program. All Young Arts winners can apply for up to $5,000 to support projects, professional development, get new equipment, and many, many other things. There is also a monthly emergency micro grants that are available for any artist who's experiencing a financial crisis. The new Emerging Artist Micro Grant is specifically for young art alumni ages 23 and under who are at early stages of their career. It is offered 3 times a year in the $250 to $1,000 range. There's also professional development resources, one of them including a financial literacy program that addresses key topics such as personal finance, business structures, contracts and agreements, taxes, grant writing, legal issues, intellectual property, and much more. And then also, again, the ability to connect with an intergenerational network of artists across the entire nation. We have an exclusive platform that's called Young Arts Post, which is where artists can apply for all of the above opportunities that I just spoke about, and also just make connections with each other. All of this to say is that Young Arts is truly invested in the continuous support of artists across their lifetime. So, what's new in 2027? What's going on here? So, the 2027 Young Arts application is now open, and it will close on Tuesday, October 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Again, you're going to want to make a note of that one. The deadline this year is Tuesday, October 6th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. We encourage artists to note this deadline carefully, please, and submit their applications early. Application requirements for all disciplines and categories have been updated at this point. So please review the requirements for your discipline and category very carefully as your students are preparing their applications. Something else that's new that we want to point out here is applicants in classical music, dance, jazz, voice, and writing disciplines who do not see their art form listed in the existing categories, they can submit under something called the unlisted category. And that's sort of a catch-all if, again, they don't see their specific art form listed. In terms of AI usage and what's acceptable, artists are expected to submit original work that accurately reflects their artistic abilities and creative voice. So the use of AI tools in the creation of submitted work may be restricted or prohibited depending on the discipline, category, or nature of the submission. Applicants, again, and I'm going to drive this home multiple times throughout this session today, applicants really should review all of the application and discipline requirements and guidelines on our website very carefully before submitting any work. If students do use AI as a collaborative tool to help inform the work that they submit, they must explain what AI tool that they used and how they used it within the application. Again, using AI to generate work that you submit as your own is not permitted, just to be very clear. And then the last thing here on our list is new this year is we have a new application platform that we've transitioned to. So while the application journey may appear a bit different if you're someone who has applied in the past, the process and the core elements of it still remain the same. And we're going to actually briefly walk through that together right now. So I've talked a lot about sort of, disciplines and what's new and all this, like what does it actually look like to apply? What is the application? I'm going to walk through some of the sort of introductory pages on our website to show how you can get there. So I am going to switch screens a moment and highlight some of those resources that we have available. And also, like I said, walk through some of an example of a discipline page as I've been talking about. So everyone now should be seeing our youngarts.org website. So to apply, it is very quite simple. So when you're on our homepage here, you're going to see this nice purple apply button here in the top right. You're going to simply click this and you're going to be brought to our youngarts.org/apply page. Now there's a couple things on this page that I want to point out before we actually jump into the login page. So here, if you scroll down, is where you will see our list of disciplines. And if you click on one, it will open up the specific discipline page. And again, there's a couple different ways that you can get to the discipline pages throughout our website, but this is the most straightforward. So we're going to look at classical music, for example. And if I open this up here, you'll see the eligibility rules as I've spoken about. And here you will see the 3 art categories that are listed under the classical music discipline. If you keep scrolling, you can also see some select performances from winners. So that way you can get a sense of the type of pieces that award winners are performing. And I'll quickly walk into one of the art categories and you'll see here, I clicked into classical music composition. And here is where you'll see all of the very detailed application requirements for this particular discipline and art category. And you'll be following this pathway for any discipline that you apply to. So in order to actually apply, you're going to come back to apply, and you'll see here that you probably saw at the beginning when I was on this page, this other button here, application login. Now it's going to bring you to this new page where, again, it'll give you a very brief overview of the eligibility rules and the competition here, a nice little video that sort of sums up our Young Arts programming. And then if you are whether you are a new user or someone who's newly applying to the Young Arts competition, or you are a returning user, you're going to click login here at the top right. And if you are a new user, you are going to click this button here that says register here, and then it'll walk you through the steps on creating an account. Nidra, sorry, can I call you in here really quickly?
Yes,
Please.
so if you are a past winner in previous years, you would click forgot password because you already have an account set up in the new platform. If you are a new user, meaning a new applicant who has not won in previous years, then you would register here and fill out the information to register your account.
Great. Thank you, Nidra.
Yeah.
All right, that covers the very sort of basic steps that you can get to the actual login page to actually apply. So I am going to bring us back to our slideshow here. All right. So I talked a little bit earlier about fees and fee waivers, and I just want to touch on that a little bit more here. So the application will ask you to pay a $35 application fee. Fee waivers are also available to applicants, which covers that $35 application fee. To qualify, you will need to provide a letter from your parent, guardian, teacher, or principal requesting to waive your fee within the application. The letter should simply state the applicant's name, is in need of waiving the $35 fee for their application, along with the name of who wrote the letter and the relationship to the applicant. The letter does not need to be on letterhead, and it does not need to include a reason why. The outline for this letter, you can find it on our website at youngarts.org/FAQ. Now, if you are a student who is 18 years old and you're unable to obtain a qualifying letter, you may also submit one yourself within the application. The fee waiver must be uploaded and submitted with the online application. We are not able to accept waivers via email. Just take a note of that. And then fees will automatically be waived at checkout. So now I want to talk a little bit about our student list service. This is another feature that I like to highlight within our application. So if you opt into what we like to call the SLS, the student list service, Young Arts will share the student's contact information, just their name, address, and email, and the name and address of their secondary educational institution with selected colleges, conservatories, and universities that participate in this program. Young Arts does not share phone numbers. They don't share parent guardian contact information or educator contact information or citizenship information. You may get emails or postal mail from these institutions. Contact from colleges, conservatories, and universities that participate in the Young Arts student list service does not guarantee your acceptance into that educational institution, but it is still a great opportunity for students to sort of, have that sort of connection, in this way, which again, you can access and opt into the service in the application itself. Okay. So now that we've covered the core elements of applying to the competition, what can you all do as parents and educators to support young artists in this journey? First would be to guide them through the discipline requirements on the website, as I've said multiple times, and just again, make sure that they really understand exactly what they need to do to prepare, and also to encourage them to start this process and to submit early. At the start of an application for each discipline, there's also short videos from the adjudication panelists where they share more information and tips for submitting strong applications. So just make sure that your student or teen check those out. And then additionally, students can view past winners' published anthologies via our website. And as I showed earlier, those performances on those discipline pages, but you can also access them on our YouTube channel to see examples of past winner pieces that have been presented to the public. Make sure that they understand the rules around AI usage, which I talked about. And again, with the transition to this new application platform, just be prepared also to help them navigate and the sort of like technical logistics of that as needed. We also hear from many parents and educators that they want to support students in applying to young arts, but face barriers such as things like limited space or equipment or time. One way around this is to help your teen or student identify existing community resources for things like recording spaces and equipment, materials, and documentation support. Schools, universities, libraries, and community centers, just to name a few, often have suitable recording or studio spaces and materials for borrowing. And then also don't forget, and this is important, students do not need fancy or expensive equipment or recording spaces for a strong audition or portfolio. As long as the panelists can clearly see or hear like your portfolio or your audition pieces, and there aren't any sort of visual or any sort of auditory distractions as a student, your originality and your technical skill and your personal voice, that's really what counts. I have two things that I want to talk about specifically if you are an educator. So the first one is, just something to think about is building sort of dedicated application preparation time and support in your classrooms. So for example, we know there's a lot of teachers or schools that host things like application day, as they call it, which you can host at your school or like a community space where students come together on like a time schedule in a shared space where they get to use shared equipment for recording auditions or photographing and documenting their work. And that can allow you and your students to make use of that limited time, staff, and equipment. And then the second thing I want to point out is as an educator, you can also take advantage of scheduling alumni-led presentations about young arts for your classrooms, similarly as what we're doing today, right now. And these alumni, they also not only just talk about young arts, but they also talk about their own personal young arts journeys from the beginning when they first applied. And they also share tips and best practices. And they also talk a bit about, the beyond after they became winners and they joined the young arts community for life. We can also mail you, like brochures, application posters, and postcards, and also other young arts related materials for your classrooms. So if you do want to book a presentation or request any materials for your classroom, you can always reach out to us at education@youngarts.org, and we can set that up. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the winner levels. So again, sort of going through the chronological order here, we talked about, eligibility rules, the deadline, what it actually looks like to apply. And now we're going to look at what happens after you've applied and what happens, after adjudications. So again, just remember that the deadline for applications to be submitted this year is Tuesday, October 6th. Tuesday, October 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Application review begins immediately after the deadline. Then winners will be announced on our website by the end of November. Awards are given at two levels. The first one is the Young Arts Award, which recognizes work that demonstrates exceptional technique, a strong sense of artistry, and a depth of thinking or performance that exceeds the level of peers at this career stage. Young Arts Awards winners receive a monetary award of $250. The second award is the Young Arts Award with Distinction, and this recognizes work that demonstrates exceptional technique, a strong, sophisticated, nuanced, and clear artistic point of view, and a depth of thinking or performance that far exceeds the level of peers at this career stage. And winners at this level are invited to participate in National Young Arts Week and are eligible for cash awards of up to $10,000. So the following programming will be made available to 2027 Young Arts Award winners. As I mentioned, winners with distinction are invited to National Young Arts Week, which takes place in Miami, and it will be taking place this year from January 9th to the 17th. Winners with distinction, they convene in Miami on an all-expense paid program to collaborate with peers across 10 disciplines and develop their craft with internationally recognized leaders in their field during this week. Young Arts winners with distinction, they present their work to the public over the course of 5 nights of performances and writers' readings and an exhibition. Now, all award winners, not just Young Arts Award with distinction, but all award winners gain immediate access to opportunities for funding and community connection. Further program details will be provided to those eligible artists following the announcement of the 2027 award winners. Now, I've covered a lot of information, but I'm now going to turn it to our sort of FAQ section here, which covers, of course, frequently asked questions that we get every year, but also questions that many of you have submitted to us. And so we want to make sure we cover as much as possible so everyone feels prepared for their students or their teams to go into this process. So, and I also just want to say before I continue moving on that, again, you may have submitted a question through the registration, or you might be submitting a question, to our Q&A chat box, here tonight. Again, we might not be able to get to every question. And if we're not able to, you can always email us at apply@youngarts.org and your question will be answered there. So without further ado, I'm going to move into our FAQ section here. So the first one is, how will my work be evaluated? So your submission is evaluated on its own merit in an adjudication process that includes multiple rounds of review. And in each round, a national pool of artists review and evaluate materials within their respective specialties. The next one is, does Young Arts provide feedback to applicants who do not receive an award? So yes, Young Arts does provide feedback on applications that meet the following criteria. First is that the application has reached the last round of the adjudication process. The second piece of criteria is that the application was not awarded. And then the third piece is that the applicant will be eligible to reapply in the following application cycle. Again, remember thinking about, if you're between ages 15 to 18 and between grades 10 through 12. So if you're eligible for feedback, applicants will be notified via email and be provided with constructive suggestions in the spring of 2027 from the judges who reviewed their materials. Another common question we get is, how many applicants are there and how many winners are selected? In this past 2026 cycle, Young Arts received approximately 13,000 completed applications and almost 800 winners were awarded. So that's just something to keep in mind as a framework for yourself. Next one is, can I apply in more than one discipline or category? I answered this one earlier, but I think it's worth repeating because it's a question we get very often. And again, the answer is yes, you may apply in as many disciplines and categories as you would like. And again, there is an application fee for each application that you submit. And again, if you qualify for a fee waiver, that documentation just must be uploaded into each application in order for your fees to be waived. Next one is, can you submit work that you have previously submitted elsewhere or will be submitting to colleges? The answer here is you may submit work that has been previously published or sent to colleges or other competitions. We do not require exclusivity of our applicants' work, and Young Arts does not own copyright of any submitted work. If you do become a winner, we do have the right to publish or use pieces in promotional materials. Young Arts encourages applicants to submit what they consider to be their strongest work. Another one here is, can I apply again with the same material that I submitted in a previous application cycle? You are allowed to resubmit materials, but it is highly recommended that you apply with current work that best represents the artist that you are today. Next one here is there a theme or topic that applicants should focus on in their application? And this is a question, again, we get a lot. So, Young Arts does not require a specific theme or topic. We do encourage applicants to submit what they consider to be their strongest work, and again, while following the guidelines as closely as possible. Another question here is, do your academics or your GPA influence your eligibility? And the answer to this is, again, a resounding no. Young Arts does not ask for any academic information or transcripts, so please do not let that be a barrier or a concern for your students or teens. So we have a question here that is specific to classical music, because this is a question that we in particular, again, often get pretty frequently. So the question is, for classical music, instrumental, can you please clarify the 5-minute selection requirement? So applicants must submit a total of 3 individual digital video recordings. Each selection should be approximately 5 minutes or less in length. And you may excerpt lengthy selections, or trim the recordings as needed to highlight artistic strengths. However, the selections must be edited from a single continuous performance. Next here is, how should application videos be recorded? Should they be recorded horizontally or vertically? Are phone videos okay? What if we can't afford a videographer? As long as the recording is upright, not sideways or upside down, you can record it in either frame mode, either horizontally or vertically, whichever best represents, what you're trying to capture. It is not expected that applicants engage with professional help in recording or creating their submissions. As long as the video, image, and sound is clear and upright, it is acceptable. And I can also say, we've had winners, and winners with distinction who have simply recorded on their phones. So truly, we don't want that to be a barrier or think that, you need fancy equipment, again, to be able to produce a qualifying or strong portfolio or audition. So what do I do if there's already identifying information on or within the work that I'm submitting? So while you will not be disqualified, it is recommended that you either edit out or remove your name from videos and or artwork wherever possible to ensure a fair adjudication process. And this includes credits within films. I think that's a particular point that I know comes up pretty frequently as well, specifically when it comes to the film discipline. Okay, so are there any fees if selected as a Young Arts winner? Young Arts, and I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about Young Arts Week. So Young Arts does cover airfare, hotel, and ground transportation within Miami and meals for the entire duration of the National Young Arts Week program. For all other programs that we host, selected participants will receive details on covered expenses of those in advance of those programs. All right, folks. So that brings us to the end of our info session here today. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here and learn about Young Arts and all that it has to offer for your students or your teens. We will be hosting our next session this Thursday, August 13th, which is going to be geared specifically towards prospective applicants. This video that we are recording tonight, like I said, is being recorded, and it will be posted onto our YouTube channel in the next few weeks. And I highly encourage you to join our mailing list in order to be notified when that gets posted up. And again, you can join our mailing list by going to youngarts.org. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a section where you can sign up for the newsletter there. And if you know of any eligible young artists who you think should learn about Young Arts, please do let them know about these upcoming sessions. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are an educator and you are interested in scheduling a presentation for your classroom or for your school, whether it's virtual or in person, please contact us at education@youngarts.org, and we can help set that up for you. Thank you so much again. I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your evenings. And again, if your question was not answered, we apologize, but please do email us at apply@youngarts.org and we will answer your questions there. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.